Okay, well, let's get rolling. Thank you, everybody, for coming to our webinar on best-in-class underwriting. I'm super excited to have some of our team here and also Jacklyn Bellamy, but I know Frank's going to do some of that shortly. But listen, I think that we're really excited about delivering on this, and it seems like the audience is too. We had a great sign up, and so thank you for all of that. I think that what we obsess over is a couple of things at Lendesk. One of those things is this idea that we stay in our lane and really create a product that is not trying to be too many things or be too many things to too many people, but just do one thing and do it really, really well, which is be a borrower's digital journey, get the application, get the documents fast and smart, and then submit it to a lender. And so as long as we continue to obsess over that and making that better for our customers and their customers, then we feel like we're winning. And so again, really excited about this for today. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Frank to be our host. And Frank, so take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Greg, and thank you everyone for joining. And for those of you who are there during the comedy hour, we'll work at being a bit better next time. But as I said, basically what we're going to focus on, not the whole experience, but most importantly, the underwriting today and how it works. And what we want to showcase is the power that you can take Finmo to maximize what you can do with your underwriting. So obviously, right, the whole goal, Greg sort of like hinted at before, but we want to make sure that our mortgage experience is easy, accessible, and transparent. And that's the relationship, right, between the parties, including the client and the broker and the lender, and how they all come together. And the part in the middle where the underwriting would be, where you get the information of your client and you're able to really grasp the picture and find out where to send it, is we're going to take a look at how we're using technology to really increase the efficiency. So efficiency would include the speed, but as well as the accuracy of the data and how it all comes together. And it's what we're going to see today, where basically the end goal of this, of where we want to keep improving technology, is to be able to find, right, the identification of our client. Who are they and what they make and what they owe, what's the purpose of what they want, and get the permission to have that information as quickly as possible. This is the relationship with the client. So then we find the right lender. And the goal we're working towards is to have a mortgage in a minute. And so at every part of the process, what we do is we stop and take a look at how Finmo in this case would work, and how can we make your process move up to the next level without you necessarily having to work harder. And we're going to see those tricks today and how technology comes into play for that. So quickly, and you guys might have seen a bit of those faces around, a few words. So we have Siobhan Baker, an account executive here at Finmo, that's been helping out our users for years. She runs some of the demos training for people who are joining, and she's helping out basically big brokers and or teams or brokerages maximizing the efficiency of their business in our system. And she's going to showcase the platform for you guys live. And we have Jacklyn Bellamy with the Ingram Morgan teams. She's going to say a few words to better describe herself. But basically, she has about 11 years experience in the industry. She's known as the smooth operator on her team. So she's basically at the core helping out for that process. She's going to be sharing her experience with us at Finmo. So they're going to be working together. Greg Williamson, CRO here at Lendesk. He's spoken a few words already, basically driving us and myself as the director of sales here at Lendesk, helping out our users to maximize the efficiency of our technology. And we have Lucy Mulvani here, senior product manager at Lendesk, who's really helping out, taking things to the next level, with Andrew as well, their product manager at Lendesk. So they're actually going to talk a bit about Finmo first and a bit of spotlight, if I recall my slides correctly, and they're going to be explaining a bit, you guys, what we do more on the technology aspect before we jump into the demo itself. And so on that note, Andrew, I'll leave the floor to you.
Hey, thanks, Frank. Hey, everyone. I'm Andrew, one of the product managers at Finmo. We're here to show you a couple of the features that we've released recently on Finmo that maybe you're not aware of. So feel free to go to the next slide there, Frank. So yeah, most of the people who start using Finmo, they're coming for that borrower-facing experience, right? In particular, Smart Docs took this process that was really time-intensive and painful which is collecting borrowed documents, and made it totally automatic. So what we're trying to do now is basically do what we did with Smart Docs in other areas of the submission process. In particular, what we're looking at here, generating submission notes. So submission notes cost agents time in two ways. One, takes time to write them out every time, right? Or to copy and paste them and replace all those details. And you have to do that on every single deal. And then in the case that you miss something, it costs wasted cycles back and forth with the lender. And in the worst case, you might not even be approved. So our goal here was to take the time that it takes to generate these submission notes, reduce it down to 0, right? One click and it's done. And then also take the quality and completeness of the notes and ensure that it's always 100% complete. So how does it work? Basically, we have a smart template in place that when you click generate submission notes, I call it a smart template because it'll change depending on the data you have in the application. The template for a refi, for example, will be different than the template for a purchase. It'll then generate your notes completely for you and populate them with all the data necessary from the application. And you're done. You can then feel free to submit, but you're also able to tweak it, personalize it, do whatever you want to do before you submit. I also want to point out, it's not just brokers who love this feature, right? It's a big hit with lenders. You can imagine the range of submission note styles that they've been used to receiving, right? Some are nicely formatted, some not formatted at all, some totally complete, some not complete at all. With this feature, all of the agents who submit through Finmo and use smart submission notes, they all have the same style. So underwriters on the lender side can get used to how they look and can quickly scan them and get the data that they need to get. So what's next for this feature? Well, keep iterating on it as we've been doing. We've been getting a lot of good feedback about it and have already pushed out a couple of improvements. So if you use it and there's something that you wish it did, but it doesn't, send all that information over to us. That's how we just keep on improving features like this. All right, next slide. This is our analytics and reporting feature. So what you're looking at here is our analytics dashboard. This is a feature for admins and broker owners, helps them keep their finger on the pulse of exactly how the team is performing. And the idea here is that it'll save teams time in a slightly different way. And that's by utilizing data to surface where the team is effective and where there's room for improvement. So you can see here some of the high-level metrics that we're surfacing to team admins. So you can imagine a scenario where an admin who's monitoring these metrics could notice, for example, hey, our app to fund ratio is really strong, but our lead to app ratio is lagging behind. That tells us that deals that actually get submitted are being approved at a high rate, but something's going on where too many of our clients are starting the process and then dropping off before the point where it actually gets submitted to a lender. So we need to be putting more time into demonstrating our value up front before these clients leave for a competitor. So this is the V1 of our analytics tool. It's always been our plan to keep expanding it, adding more data to it. We really strongly believe that a major differentiator between effective teams and ineffective teams is going to be how well do you know your data and are you pulling those insights out and using it to continually improve your process. So all that is to say, please let us know what information that you'd like to see here that isn't here presently. Whatever advice or suggestions you've got for how this thing can be improved, send it our way and we'll keep on making it better. That's it for analytics, and over to you, Lucy.
Cool, thanks Andrew, and thanks everyone for being here today. I'm Lucy, Group Product Manager at Lendesk, and I'm going to touch on one more new feature in Finmo relating to lender policies, which play an important part in underwriting a deal. So many of you would have already heard of Lender Spotlight, the most complete and accurate database of lender rates and policies used by mortgage professionals. And we think that Finmo and Lender Spotlight work best together. And we're bringing the products closer to really help create an engaged digital mortgage experience. The policy section in Lender Spotlight has very high usage and is much loved by our brokers. We have a team who work tirelessly to keep it up to date across all the lenders in our network. You can easily transition right now between Finmo and Lender Spotlight to use both the products, but we wanted to make it really easy for you to view key policies within your application in Finmo. So once you have an application on the go and you select a lender, you'll be able to see policies displaying within the Submit tab in Finmo. And these policies come directly from Lender Spotlight. They come in 4 different sections. So the first section is around qualification, and you'll see lender policies relating to credit history, down payment information. The second section is income, and that includes policies like child tax credit details or business for self. The third section is underwriting, and that includes debt servicing, lenders' digital signing requirements, and lender submission tips, which even includes ways to avoid getting auto declines. The fourth section is around rentals, and that will include policies like rental income. We've also added a few visual indicators, which you can see on the slide. There's like a red and a green indicator there, and that easily shows you if a lender does or does not accept a particular policy. So as I mentioned, there is only a select list right now of policies. So as Andrew said, we love to get feedback. So if you take a look and you see anything that's missing there, please let us know, or please ask any questions. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you so much. We will hand over to Frank.
It will help if I unmute. Thank you guys for sharing that part of the technology and what we've been working on. So up next, what we're gonna have is Siobhan. I'll give you the ability to share your screen, and she's gonna walk through Finmo to showcase how we underwrite the deal, tips and tricks, as well as what we can use as features to maximize the underwriting process, all the way to those nice features have been highlighted when it comes to reviewing the policies, as well as taking a look at Spotlight and the smart submission note. So I'm just going to stop sharing here, and I'll let you take it over, Siobhan, with a brief introduction from Jacklyn as well.
Thank you so much, everyone. Well, I'm Siobhan Baker. I'm an account manager at Finmo. Most of you that are probably on this call already know who I am, but I'll let Jacklyn also introduce herself. Jacklyn, go ahead.
Oh, thanks, Siobhan. So just a quick intro about myself, just to add to Frank's words earlier. I've been in the mortgage industry specializing in underwriting for just over 11 years. I joined the Ingram Mortgage team in 2012, and I switched over to Finmo about 6 months ago after using a different platform for, I'd say, over a decade. I essentially fell in love with how user-friendly it is. And as a bonus, it integrates extremely well with the CRM we use. And day after day, it proves to be a major time saver for everybody on the team in a very busy environment. And so today's presentation is about, the application and the submission process through Finmo. However, there are many other features within the system that have made our client process, I'd say, way more streamlined, informative, and efficient.
Thank you so much, Jacklyn. So yeah, we're going to show you why we built Finmo the way we did, how to do deals faster, more efficient. So a deal has arrived. It's ready for underwriting. Which steps should you take to ensure that it's done completely to get it ready for submission? So let me go ahead here and share my screen. Just let me know if everyone can see that. All right, excellent. All right, well, let's get started. So here's a deal that has arrived. And at the top, you're going to start with the goals section. And any section that you want to review, you can also edit. Just click the edit details, make your necessary changes, save that, and then you can minimize each section as you go through the application. The reason for doing that is, let's say I needed to jump out of this application, go back into my deals, work on something else. When I return back to this deal, I can see exactly where I left off based on which sections are open and which ones have been minimized. So here is the personal details. The borrower didn't put in their SIN number. That's all right. I'm going to leave that open. I'm going to grab those details from them later and continue underwriting the deal. So there's our living history. Then we have employment. So when you move towards the income, assets, and property section, a great tip is to open the documents. This way you can do a side-by-side comparison. So here, if you just right-click on documents, you can open that in a new tab. You can also split your screen if you're working off of a single screen and view the application and documents side by side. So now I can go in and I can verify the employment by looking at the pay stubs. I can look at the employment letter. And again, once I've reviewed that section, I can then collapse it. Now we're going to take a look at the second borrower. So as you can see, she's filled out her personal details, that's complete, but her living history only has 2 years of living history in Canada. So Jacklyn, what would you do in this situation if a borrower has less than 3 years?
Right. So we've all seen some applications come through where a borrower has only filled in like the last 1 year or 2 year of their living history, and it's therefore incomplete. So we need to source this information out before we can submit the deal usually, but in FINMO, it won't hold up the live submission if this info is actually missing. So one example is if a borrower is new to Canada and has not lived here for 3 years, so there isn't a 3-year Canadian living history to input on the application. There's an explanation for that, of course, so you can actually submit the deal as is without having to fill in that 3-year living history.
And if it was just a simple mistake, you can always go in, adjust that number. You know, maybe she's lived here actually at this property for a lot longer, and then you can go ahead and save those changes as well. Now, also, what about hiding borrowers? So here with Lisa, maybe, you know, her ratios are preventing the deal from going through, or, you know, she's got poor credit. Tell us a little bit more about hiding the borrower.
Yeah, so this is one of my absolute favorite features within FINMO. So if you're running scenarios with or without borrowers on the application, it's just a quick click of a button to hide the borrower, and then you can bring them back if needed. So this will hide all of their information, including the liabilities that are pulled from the bureau, and the ratios will immediately update. As an example, we had an application that we worked on for close to 2 years. These borrowers had both sets of parents and siblings added to the application at one point in time to see if it would increase their purchasing power. And we found this tool magic. And it was a major time saver, as we could easily add all of their information back if needed, as easily as we could hide it, just within one click. So as these scenarios unfolded, we could check and see, you know, if we add mom and dad back on, does that help here? You know, what if we added sister and brother-in-law back in the mix? You know, would the numbers work now? So that feature is amazing.
Yeah, and as mentioned, when you unhide the borrower, this way you don't lose the details as well, which is really important. With other platforms, if you go to remove somebody or change their income to say $1, you know, you might lose that information that you had beforehand. With FINMO, it's just a click of a button and you get all those details back. And we're going to show you how you can do that with properties in other areas here in FINMO. So next we're going to take a look at so now I can review their living history, their employment. I verified that through the documents that the borrower works there and that's their income. Now we can take a look at assets that lines up. If there was any issues with assets, let's say the borrower put in their goal that they wanted $65,000 down, but they're only showing $50,000 here. There will be a warning here that will let you know that it doesn't line up. So it's lining up. There's no warning. I can minimize that. Now, when it comes to the credit and liability section of FINMO, as Jacklyn mentioned, if you hit a borrower, their credit score is going to hide as well as any liability. So you don't have to worry about deleting that. It will hide automatically when you hide the borrower. I'm getting the invalid member and security issue here. That's just because these are, you know, not real borrowers. I don't have Equifax credentials in here, but your score is going to populate when you pull the credit bureau for each borrower. You can view the Equifax report here. And again, it's going to scrape those liabilities and it's going to list them line by line here. So you can easily make any adjustments to those liabilities. You can edit them. So this one, if it's going to be paid off prior to advance or from proceeds, I can select that, save that, and that's going to adjust my ratios up here in the top. If you need to remove a liability, you can certainly do that. If you accidentally deleted one and it came from the credit bureau, there'll be an option here to bring that liability back. And of course, you can manually add any liabilities. So next, we're also going to take a look at the properties. So in this case, this borrower owns properties and they also have a subject property. The properties that they do own are rental properties as well. So they've got units in these properties. I can see their mortgage details for each one. If they're still mortgaged, I can include any of these expenses in the TDS and GDS calculator. And with the rental inclusions, you can use the calculator, for example, in the qualifying details for your subject properties and your non-subject properties, so properties owned here, that you can also bring in your rental inclusions and also adjust the percentage. Jacklyn, why don't you talk a little bit more about the playing around with the different scenarios in this section?
Sure. Excuse me. So this tool is awesome. So it works all the time. If you have a client on the phone and we want to quickly just, jump into the application, we want to know, say, what would their payment be if they took a variable rate? Or how about a fixed rate? Maybe they're considering payments with the 25-year amortization versus a 30-year amortization. Or they want to put less down. Maybe they found a place with higher strata fees or the taxes, and they're just not sure it's going to be a fit. Even again, rental income, you can play around with that. If there's a suite in the subject property or there's non-subject properties, you can play around with all of that. Just right up at the top, so you don't even have to scroll through the entire application or click on any of the fields, and it's awesome. So it's quick. There's no loading time. It's at your fingertips to customize scenarios for any application. So we use this tool constantly.
So looking more into the scenarios, if you want to build scenarios for your borrowers, you can run these in the mortgage details of the application. So using just the quick links down here, subject property, mortgage details. So here I've ran a scenario for a borrower at this interest rate. You can just click edit details. You can also do it in the calculator. Both of these areas talk to each other. So here, for example, I can adjust the interest rates. Interest rates are going up all the time. So if my borrower wants to get an idea of what they'd be looking at for, payments, monthly versus accelerated by weekly payments, the scenario builder will allow you to do that. Same thing with changing the amortization. You can also change the interest type from fixed to adjustable. You can make any details that you want to build out scenarios for here. And you can save these changes. When you save these changes, they will also carry over into your submission. So I'm just going to cancel and keep the one that I had going before. And so next we're going to take a look at submitting a deal. But just before we submit the deal, maybe you have a deal where the borrowers have low income, or you're having a difficult time with the ratios, and you want to get an idea of who can you do a deal with. Well, this is our amazing integration with Lender Spotlight. You'll have the find products up here at the top, and it's also going to be in the submit section as well. So when you click the Lender Spotlight tool, I've got one already open here. You can go ahead and select the different filters. Most of these, some of these will already be selected, but if you wanted to see the difference between fixed and variable, you can go between these or keep both open. You can select your term. These are the details that are coming from the application. And if you pulled your borrower's credit, their beacon score is going to come through here. You also have the ability to choose which programs apply to your borrower. So maybe you have a first-time home buyer, or they're new to Canada. That's going to narrow down the lenders that I can do deals with and the different products and rates that they're offering. You can also do a direct-to-consumer report through Lender Spotlight as well. So if I wanted to showcase certain lenders and their rates, all I need to do is click in to one, select, just click the check boxes or uncheck what you don't want to compare. And you can do a compare and share of these. So maybe your borrower is saying, well, TD is offering a great rate, or Scotia. Since you're a mortgage broker and you have access to multiple lenders, you could probably offer them a better rate. So with the compare and share feature, I can compare these different lenders with the other ones that they're looking at. Let's do a comparison. I can take a look. So they fall into the area of rental income. I can take a look at the different policies around that. And then I can create a report for my borrower that's going to include my logo. Let's generate that report. And here I can show my borrower a side-by-side comparison of all the different lenders, their different policies that apply to this deal specifically. And you also have the ability to remove certain items. So if you didn't want to show who the lender is or the product name, before you generate the report, you can uncheck those items. So here you and the borrower can go through this report, take a look at the different options. Let me just zoom in here a little bit. It's probably hard to see. You can see what the rate hold is going to be, and it's going to list those different policies. So jumping back into Finmo, now I've got an idea of who I want to submit my deal to. I can go ahead and now choose my favorite lenders, or I can search for a lender in our list here. Finmo has 300 lenders that you can select from, more lenders than any other platform that's out there. So let's go ahead and submit a deal to Radius. Here I can see the notable policies from Radius, as Lucy mentioned earlier. And if I wanted to change the lender to see what their policies are, so maybe RFA mortgage, I can save that. It's going to tell me what the validations are as well as the policies. I can just update the lender simply here in this section. But I'm going to continue my deal with Radius Financial. Any of the validations that come up with a red X is a hard validation or a hard stop. You must fix those before you go to submit your deal. Smart validations are completely optional. So again, you can make those adjustments if you want to, or you can continue with your submission. It's not going to stop you. Next, you can take a look at your GDS and TDS mortgage details. Here's that scenario that I built out earlier in the application. Again, if you need to make any adjustments, because again, rates are constantly changing, I can adjust that and save the changes. And as Andrew was mentioning, here are the generated submission notes that you can create. So I was speaking to a broker the other day, and she says that with really hard deals, B deals, it can take her a couple of hours just to do the submission notes. For most people, it could be pretty quick, but you're still having to go back and forth from the application and creating your submission notes. Here, you just click generate submission notes. We've done the work for you. This is what lenders want to see. If there's any information that you want to add, you can come in here and type those additional details. And if there's anything that you want to remove, you just simply delete it out of here. Save those changes, and then submit your deal to a lender. Now, Jacklyn, you were mentioning a scenario earlier with fixed and variable. Why don't you go through that scenario of when you would use multiple submissions in Finmo? Because you do have the ability to submit to multiple lenders. So just tell me about a scenario there.
Yeah, so we find this helpful when we want to perform those multiple submissions. If you want to send in a deal, say to hold a variable rate with one lender, you can submit both within minutes of each other. So there's no requirement to wait a few hours between submissions or anything like that. So if I want to hold a fixed rate with one lender, I select the lender that I want. Then I would, complete the validation process that applies to that lender in particular. Then I ensure that I've got the correct rate that's in those details there, the mortgage info and request details.
Yeah,
and then
so here I could change it. And you know what, when it comes to the interest rate, instead of going on a lender's website or multiple lenders' website to find that rate, just jump back into Lender Spotlight. So here I can just change it from I think this is the one that I was at before. So if I go back to my rates, I can change this to, let's say, fixed and variable. Here are all the variable rates. So now I can plug in what RFA is offering at 1.55. Sorry, here we go. Let's put this at 1.55. Change this to variable. And then I can go ahead and save that. Sorry, continue, Jacklyn.
Yeah, and then you just put in the submission agent details that are just, right above the notes there. And then usually, you write your notes or you put rate hold submission and you send it off. It's that easy. And then you can go right back in and fix it up for a different product with a different lender and send it off immediately after. Like there's no lag time. So if you've got, a deadline where you've got to get a rate hold in, you don't have to wait a few hours before you send off, another rate hold. You can do it immediately. which we find very useful. Yeah.
So multiple submissions that you can create in Finmo. All right, that's all we have. Any questions, Frank, that you want me to demonstrate while I have the deal open?
Yeah, thank you guys for that presentation, and thank you for everybody in the audience just going participating like this and seeing all the questions and feedback. It's really awesome. So I'm just going to say a broad line about all the feedback. Please don't hesitate to send it over, and you can send it over and over again every time you run into the situation. So just to let you guys know, the way we're always improving our system is that we collect the feedback from all angles, all the different sort of like parties that interact with our system, and we tally up every time something is being proposed, and we weigh it against the benefit it will give to everyone. So even if you've raised something once, or you feel you need to raise it again, please don't hesitate. The more we have as data, the better it permits us to be able to improve in the right direction. So Siobhan, if you want to put just back your screen for a second, I just wanted to address that first. There's a few things as well. So there's a lot of questions that came in, and I'll address the more like generic one. If you have like very specific cases, the best bet is to contact our CS people if you guys are already on Finmo. If you're not and you want to see if it's a match for you, the best would be to simply book a demo with one of our account executive. We're going to take a look at how you do things and how we can incorporate your process with our technology to better usage. One element, just to go back, because it came at the beginning, and I know that it's something a lot of people have question on, is just to reopen the calculator really quickly, Siobhan, and go over the rental components in the qualifying details. So basically what you guys are seeing here is the subject rental that's at the top and non-subject at the bottom. You guys are going to be able to set the offset and the add back and the percentage directly from that calculator sheet, and you can just use the one that makes the most sense for the lender that you're looking to submit to in order to maximize the borrowing capacity of your client. The other aspect you guys have mentioned that was raised that I've seen a couple of times here, how the two calculator tabs were to talk to each other for similar feel like the amortization. Awesome feedback. So definitely, I'm sure Andrew is taking all the notes here and making sure that we're going to take a look at these elements. But please keep those going. Greg, I saw that you've mentioned, you've answered a few questions already, and there's a lot of them. Any of those you feel should be highlighted, Greg, that you want to throw back? And I think that there's one that you said you were going to address live from Erica. So I don't know if you want to take that one, or if you just clicked the button by mistake before.
Actually, yeah, I was going to throw that over to Lucy as a spotlight question. So Lucy, the question was lender spotlight for rate sheets. Can we get the variable rate discount instead of the rate? And can it also show us the prime rate for each lender?
So I think someone actually kindly responded to Erica, one of our brokers out there, and they said if you click into the details, so if you click into a product detail, you can get some of that information. But so if you click on the rate hold, there should be some, and scroll down.
No.
No,
Back
sorry,
the
go
card.
back to the product details.
Yep, back to the card.
And
Scroll down.
scroll down. There should be some of the
Right.
details there.
So one thing that I would notice, because I actually was, when I was double checking this answer, is some of you might see an upgrade button on that and you're wondering what's going on because you're also on Finmo. So you have to connect your lender spotlight and Finmo accounts because those were grayed out. And I think that may have led to the question.
Right.
And here's where you can connect to lender spotlight. Two areas, you can do it here. If you
Yeah.
click in the find products, it's going to ask you to connect. And also when you go to your account details in Finmo, lender spotlight settings, it will let you know which email address is connected to lender spotlight if you are connected. And if you're not, this is another area where you can connect.
Okay. Awesome. The other, oh, sorry, did you have a follow-up to that, Greg?
No, I did. I was just going to go on to a couple others, but you go ahead.
One thing I did want to mention, I don't think this was mentioned, is that the ability to have multiple people in one deal at once. So I know this is an issue with other platforms, But let's say I'm in this deal and I need, a broker to also be in the deal as well at the same time to look at it. Multiple people on your team can be in one deal at one time. So I just thought I'd bring that up as well.
Yeah, very good point. So other elements on Spotlight, and I'll just say this as a whole as well. So you guys are able to also book demos for Spotlight and communicate directly with our specialists for Spotlight if you guys would like to have more information on it. It's a really wonderful tool, and we understand there's a bit of intricacy sometimes to it. So don't hesitate to just reach out, and it'll be our pleasure to share those. So quickly, one that I saw here, it was about pre-approval. So if you go, Siobhan, in the left column where you have all your filters and you go all the way to the bottom, you're going to see that there's a list of programs. You're going to see here that there should be one on pre-approval there. Pre-approval, there you go. If you select it, so that's going to highlight the products and with certain criteria. So it's one way to quickly find out. The other is simply to go inside the policy section and then type in pre-approval or go to the pre-approval section, and then you're going to get all the policies for those lenders. The follow-up question was, and it's okay if you don't keep up, Siobhan, I'll try to make sure we address all of them. The other elements in terms of Spotlight, when's the data updated? It's a question we get really often, and it's really whenever it goes live. So we're in contact with the lenders directly. So as soon as something is coming, most of the time we have it in advance. They reach out to us, we get their rate sheet, we get things programmed so it go live exactly at the moment that it's supposed to go live. And so we don't rely on the lenders to actually do the work. We take the initiative, we run after them, we make sure that we're a step ahead so that the accuracy of our data can be trusted. The other element, if you go to one, any of the rate cards for one of the lenders, Siobhan, if you guys are ever wondering, you're going to notice that there's 2 dates underneath every single rate that's displayed on Spotlight. And one of them is going to say last updated. So if you just zoom in a little bit, Siobhan, so we can highlight those. Last updated means this is the last time the lender updated on the rate sheet. And then verified by Spotlight, you're going to see that it's when we ran an audit. So in this case, well, it so turned out that at the same time, right, we reviewed all the rates for that lender because they did send out a change on the rate sheet. But if you ever wonder, hey, that rate's been there for a while, is it still good? You're going to notice that we ran internal audit to make sure things are still accurate. And if you do, like I've seen a note, somebody said, hey, I think I've seen like some information that's not accurate, please raise it. Don't hesitate, reach out to us. Let's find out. It happened more than once that sometimes it was just, we got a notice from a BDM directly, we got a tweak and we've made the switch. And or if really it's something that needs to be changed, we'll do so accordingly, and then everybody benefits. So please don't hesitate to reach out either if you do notice something in our system. What else do we have here? So I see that there's a long list of elements here. Let me just go back into all the different notes. I'm still clearing the document. For the documents. So the documents are still submitted the same way. So the lenders at the moment, they're going to be receiving obviously the application with the Equifax once you guys have pulled it. But now for the documents section, and it's something that we're going to highlight in other webinars because our document piece is also something that could really benefit you guys. But one thing I want to highlight here really quickly, if you guys are used to working the documents in Finmo, Siobhan, can you showcase just the download PDF format? Just show where it is. You don't have to download anything.
Yeah, so here on the top right-hand corner, if you've got multiple documents that have been accepted, instead of going into each one and downloading each file as a PDF, combining those files, fast, easy way is just to click download PDFs here at the top. You don't even have to wait for this document package to prepare. You can just close that off. That's going to save to your documents. It's also going to show down back at the bottom so you can grab those documents and bring it over to the lender.
Awesome, thank you. Something else, I see that some of them are being answered. I see that there's, can we save scenarios or compare scenarios? So scenarios can be compared and saved in Spotlight in the sense that you can have multiple product and do your compare over there. But it's a good piece of feedback for us to, if I'm understanding this right, you'd like to save, for example, the calculator so that you say, this is going to be my 30-year amortization. What if I do a high ratio loan and my 2 scenarios I want to present to my client and have them saved? Really good product feedback that we're going to take on and take a look at what we can do. There's really a lot of questions. I hope we get it. Somebody's keeping an eye on the clock. I want to make sure we get to address as many as we can. The alternative space for Spotlight. Siobhan, if you want to just head back to Spotlight for a quick second. So on the left-hand side, as she's demonstrating, we now have a dedicated alternative space. And instead of using the same type of filter that's going to be more product-based, it's going to be more scenario-based in this case. So it's going to start with the type of product. Now we see the residential is the accessible product selection. Then it's going to drop down to location to be very narrow into where to go so that the right private alternative lenders can be made available. And the way those product sheet would work is if you click on any of those, for example, neighborhood, Siobhan, and if you click on it, you guys are going to notice that the breakdown is a bit different. So there's going to be more information that's there. And considering the alternative space and the way the product will be described, that may be very particular to them. The lender is able to document this exactly the way they see fit. So we do provide them a template, but they have enough to work around so that you guys are going to get precise description of exactly the type of product that they're going to be offering to see if it's a match for your particular situation. A lot of Spotlight question coming in. We're going to have to redo another Spotlight webinar. We did one not too long ago. So I think it's also worth it. We can send out the recording to the people in the audience today on the Spotlight webinar we did last month. I think it's going to answer a lot, and you guys are welcome to jump on as well with us here. Let's see, what else do we have here? Is there a way to download all archive clients' mortgage, move into a CRM program? So yeah, in terms of CRM connectivity, this is something that we're also going to be addressing into a follow-up webinar. It's a very important piece, right, of like your whole business, and Finmo is made to be able to speak to a CRM. So the reason we've done it like this is that we can really focus on the experience, the mortgage experience, and then you guys are able to select.
If they don't have a firm code, they'll get through that.
Greg, you're not on mute.
Mute Greg.
Well, I'll ask you then. What somebody's asking a question of the firm code they put in when they're signing up if they don't have one right now.
They could put ABCD and it's still going to be able to get them to log in. And once they get their firm code, we're going to be able to set them up. Yeah. That's not a problem. It can be adjusted afterwards. It's possible that our CS team reach out wondering why ABCD was selected because it looks a bit odd. Just let them know, hey, I'm waiting for my my firm code. I'll be good to go. But yeah, so just to close on the CRM, we can push stuff into a CRM of choice. We have multiple ways to connect. Definitely reach out to us if you want to take a look on how it works. Siobhan, thank you for being a step ahead. So you guys are going to see in the integration section here. So we do connect. If you guys want to sort of like a pre-made connection with different systems, Zapier, it comes with a free version. So it's really great for you guys to sort of like test things and see how it works. If you guys are a bit more tech savvy, want something a bit more robust and a few extra features, we could also connect by REST hook. If you guys are not sure what I'm talking about, and you're looking, to connect your Finmo to a CRM system so that all of your business sort of like speaks to each other, by all means, like I said, let's reach out. No worries, we could address this when we do our demos and take a look maybe at a strategy session to see how to build your technology around your business goals and see how we can level you guys up.
If you don't have a CRM as well, chat with our support. We can put you in touch with our integration specialist here in Finmo, Joe Tompkins. And we can help you out with finding the right CRM for your business needs.
Very good point. Thank you, Siobhan, for this. Melissa, I see. Okay, thank you. I remember a discussion about it. It feels like that's like a follow-up answer to something. Will documents in the lender section be getting updated here soon? Documents in the lender section, I'm not sure if you're referring to in Spotlight. If you go to the various form you can download, in this case, this gets updated as per the lender. But if you find that there's one lender missing key documents, again, reach out to us and we're going to update that field. If you're referring to submission and submitting documents to lender, this is not currently a feature, but it's definitely something that we can think about for the future to see where we're going to go and making the mortgage in minute. So Marcia, I think so for that, via Zapier, we can connect over 4,000 program. So chances are, unless you got a brand new system that just came out, there is a connection to be made. And if they have an API documentation, you'd be able to connect with the REST hook. So it shouldn't be a problem. Are you going to touch on e-signing? Sure. Hey, we could take some time for this, as it's definitely an important part of the process. The nice thing with Finmo is that e-signing is at no cost and it's integrated inside the system directly. So if you navigate to a deal here and you go, I'll let you pick one, Siobhan.
Yeah, so there's a few options here for e-signing. If you have compliance set up in Finmo, with your generated documents, you can generate these documents. They're going to sync into your e-signing, and they're already going to be set up for signatures, dates, initials, etc. If you're bringing documents from outside of Finmo, like maybe a mortgage commitment letter, you can certainly bring that into e-signing and then just place where you need the borrower to sign, date, etc. So let's take a look at an example here. Maybe, I've got these two documents already signed by the borrower. Maybe I just need to get a client consent, for example, or disclosures or anything else. So here I can generate the form in either English or French. If there's any fields that need to be filled out, you can just simply type in your details here, and I'm just going to generate the form. So easy. Once your forms have generated, I can continue through and generate more documents. But once that form has completed generating, my internet's a little bit slow right now, but let's jump into the e-signing. It says that it's finished. So these are documents that I've already added to an e-signing package. I'm going to add the client consent. These ones are already completed. Let's add that to an e-signing package. So anything that you've generated within Finmo, so easy. It's already set up for signatures, dates, initials. We've got the capture signature already in there, so you don't have to select capture signature anymore. That's going to be the default now. I know a lot of people will be happy to see that. We've got both borrowers, and so the email or the request is going to go out to both borrowers asking them to sign. And if there's a field that I need to sign, or the broker on this deal needs to sign, they're also going to get an email, and then they can all sign. The nice part is that you don't have to just do this on your computer. You can also do it on your mobile device, and all borrowers can sign on their mobile device just using their finger as well. So if I need to bring additional documents in for signatures, I just click the plus icon or drag and drop files. So let's just do a mortgage commitment letter, even though I already have this signed. Here is the mortgage commitment. Maybe I need to redo it for whatever reason. Capture signature, again, I don't need to change that on the left-hand side anymore. We're going to place that. Same thing with a date. So I can just select date field or signing date. Signing date's probably better in this case. And then again, you can just adjust that, resize it. This document is done. Send off that e-signing request. You can also include a message to the borrower, just letting them know, get these signed ASAP, or please, thoroughly review before signing. And once the borrower has finished signing these documents, I can download that commitment letter, get that off to the lender. And for my compliance, if I jump down into my generated documents, once the borrower has finished signing all of my compliance documents here, and the ones that the borrower has uploaded has synced in here, I can easily send this over to my compliance manager to review within Finmo, or if you're using a platform outside of Finmo for compliance and payroll, I can download all my compliance documents and then bring it into that other platform. So I'm not having to use, go somewhere else for compliance. It's all built in within Finmo. So that's the e-signing as well. You can bring in your generated documents, have it sync up, and it's already set up for those signatures and dates. Sorry, I went beyond e-signing there. I went right into compliance too, but I really wanted to showcase, how you can use compliance in Finmo to really shorten your deal time. And the great thing is that everything is in one area. So, if I need to review this file again, I've got not only the borrower's application, I've got their documents, I've got anything that they've signed electronically. I can see who I submitted the deal to, and I've got my compliance. And in the event that the borrower decides to come back, here in the overview section, I can copy the deal and I can bring those details into the new deal, download any documents, get it brought in there, and everything is in one. I'm not having to go to different places to look for things.
Thank you for this, Siobhan, and thank you guys. I think there's a few more questions really precise about e-signing. If somebody's not on the application, something you guys can do It's sort of a workaround, but you could add the person as a borrower without inviting them and having any info, just them, so that they're on the application, and then you could just hide them afterwards. Or simply create another application to have the e-signing flow available, and then you can have your documents there. But great feedback, most of it, like those things that you guys mentioned and some question about, hey, can we use external system and stuff like that, keep them going as well. So we're not necessarily like addressing everything 100%, but it's stuff that we're keeping track of, and we're going to be able to sort of like circle back at some point. Because yeah, for example, okay, I'm using DocuSign on the site. So currently it's not integrated there, but if you are using DocuSign on the site too, it's a valid way for you guys to just keep doing it. And you could start playing a bit around with those, maybe some automation, and Finmo is great. Then you use your alternative system for those ad hoc sort of documents that you need to capture. The other thing I simply wanted to go back to, just so that we have time to address a few things and give the mic to somebody else here on our panel. Siobhan, can you quickly go on lendesk.com just to show people how to book a demo if they would like to see a more hands-on presentation for them, and how to sign up? So we'll just showcase it here. So when you guys are on the lendesk.com page, you're going to see there's a tab at the top with solutions. If you hover this, you're going to notice that our different technologies are going to be available. So if you guys select Finmo as a mortgage professional, it's going to take you to the Finmo page. Now you can quickly book a demo. If you click on book a demo, it's going to look at the calendars of our account executive that will be able to showcase Finmo for you guys. And if you guys do want to sign up, like it's been said, it's at no cost. So you guys are just able to simply sign up to Finmo, take a look around, start playing around with the system, and start getting more familiar with the features. It doesn't matter if you guys have been signing on for a week, for a month, for a quarter, or many years. You guys are always able to say, hey guys, I'm looking to upgrade my process. I want to take a look to maximize that system I'm using. And we're always going to be happy to jump on a call with you guys, take a look on how you guys are doing things, proposing some ways of improving your process, maybe automate it further. So please don't hesitate. We're really here to just help you guys make the most of our technology. I believe, Greg, you wanted to jump back in and say a few words here.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, everybody. Wow, lots of great questions. I should let you know as well, any of the product suggestions, that's what Lucy and Andrew are feverishly writing down. All of their job is to take those suggestions and get through them all and sort of figure out what they're going to prioritize. So note that we've covered all of that for you, and we're looking at that. But I have a question for Jacklyn. Jacklyn, I know that you're a very experienced underwriter and been through and do a lot of transactions. So what are some of the top, like three things that over the years you've learned? Like you process a ton of applications. So people want to know, how do you do that? Like, what are some of the real top tips, Finmo or otherwise, just in terms of how do you get through 30, 40, 50 transactions at a time? Just always doing that. What are some of the top tips you have?
I tend to stay fairly organized. That's my number one, and Finmo and the integration with our CRM allows that to happen. So that's a big one. I just honestly naturally have a knack for problem solving. I love to solve problems. And again, it's all about the systems that you implement that allow you to do that. And this one's huge. So, again, bringing up the integration is another big one, because it allows automatic emails to be sent out as the application, gets approved in Finmo. So automatically, a realtor gets an email saying that, the deal has been approved. The client gets an email saying your deal's been approved. So it's just as you move it through the process of Finmo and your CRM, there's a lot of automatic things that take place that just make your job easier. So we've really taken advantage of that, and it just saves a lot of time.
That's I'm glad you mentioned that, because there was a lot of questions about the integrations. I know you guys use Blue Mortgage, and so we integrate nicely with them. And so for those of you who are thinking about that, what Jacklyn's talking about, we're always looking for the inches are everywhere. So what are the things that are the things that I have to do in my current process. If I'm thinking about my business, I'm looking at, like, often what I would do is break it down. What are all the steps that we currently do in our process? Particularly if you're, say, a team that's been doing 10 transactions a month and all of a sudden you've been moving to 20, or you're at 20 transactions, you're moving to 40, or even if you're at 5 transactions and moving to 12. Like, what are the things that, as I make those growth steps, what are the things that are manual in our process right now, and how can I automate them? Because if I get those things out of the
Yeah.
way, then I think that's really, really important. And for not just my marketing side of my business, but for the underwriting side. So for example, one of the things that I like a lot, and I know a lot of people, is our automated document reminders. So if I have a lot of files on the go, think about it. If I'm a team and I'm an underwriter and I'm servicing, say, 2 or 3 different loan partners, what am I doing? Like, I have all of these files on the go. And in the current world, most often I have to be thinking about which customers have I not yet asked for updates, or, which customers haven't sent me their core documents, and so I'm always having to try to figure that out. Whereas what you're seeing on the screen now, we set it up so that you can just set the reminders, and then Finmo, let's say I got 30 transactions on the go in different stages of the development. The system is automatically sending an SMS and an email to the borrower every time whatever time frame I set, asking them to continually update the documents. And as they do update the documents, Finmo's smart enough to make sure they only ask for the documents that are still outstanding. So I really like that. And I like what you said, Jacklyn, about trying to think of what are the manual processes we do today and how do I get rid of them. So, and now I know there was a question earlier about how do you decide when you're quickly looking at a deal? I know people say, well, how fast can I figure out what's the max loan amount that they can qualify for? And how do I, when I'm working on between the subject rentals or non-subject, I mean, what's the first step you kind of go in and say, okay, I've got this new application, and as fast as I can, I got to try to figure out what they qualify for. I mean, what are some of the tips that you do?
Definitely the calculator. This is something that we use all the time, just to quickly find out, based on simple info, what the client would qualify for. So the calculator is always being used for that reason. And another thing I wanted to touch on too, just with the document requests that you were speaking of, that is another huge part of the process. So when a document's being requested, the borrower will know where to find this document. They'll know what the document looks like. Every little bit of a description that you could possibly imagine for that one document that you are requesting is in the description field. So that alone saves so much time. They know exactly where to find it. They know what it looks like. And then they just upload it when they find it. So that's definitely helped with the efficiency as well. It's one of my favorites with Finmo for sure.
Okay, great. Well, here we are. We're at the top of the hour. Man, thank you everybody for sticking it out with us and handling all those questions. And wow, so good for the product help. I mean, it's one of the things I think we love about our customers is that we get so many great product ideas and so many good things. And I know that every time you ask for something, Andrew and Lucy and their teams are going through that information. So thank you. Keep that up. So yeah, let's wrap it up and let everybody get back to writing some loans and doing everything. So thanks again to my team that's here with me and our team, and Jacklyn, thanks so much for helping us out. You were really great, really big help. So thanks everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Hey, you're welcome. You too.
Thanks, Jacklyn.
you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye,
Bye
everyone.
guys. Thanks.